Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and Jason will be in here in just a second. There he is. And today we are doing another review for FlickFair, and the film we're going to be interviewing the co-director today is called Shades of Lagos. Lagos is basically a city in Nigeria. And so the film basically chronicles a series of interviews with different people that are either from Lagos or maybe they lived there at some point in time. And so it's like a series of interviews just to talk about the culture, some of the food, ethnicity, and that sort of thing, the challenges they have living in a city that's really robust. There's a lot of like heavy traffic there, but it's also a very beautiful place to look at as well because there's like beaches and that sort of stuff. So it's kind of a really interesting contrast with the city, because obviously, like any other city, it has the slums and it has some sort of crime and that sort of stuff, as like any other city does. But it also has a beautiful landscape. It looks like vibrant city. There was a lot of big like giant buildings and that sort of stuff. So it looked very developed in certain parts of it, but then other parts of it seems like where there was a little bit more of a lower income demographic where, they had issues with running water or electricity and that kind of stuff. So, what was your take about the film, Jason?
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting because I will admit that I didn't know much at all about Lagos before watching that movie, and now I feel like not like I've been there or anything like that, but just like I know more about it than I did. That's for sure. I didn't know anything about it before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I was in the same boat. So I'd never heard of it, to be honest with you, and so that's kind of what interested me in the documentary initially. Is I didn't know anything about Lagos. I didn't even know where it was, so I didn't know anywhere on the map it was until they actually said it was a city in Nigeria. I had no clue, so it was very educational for me as well, just to learn a little bit about the city and the culture and that sort of stuff. And what I really like about films and docs like these ones that portray cities, within like Africa, is because there's always like misconceptions and like different types of stereotypes and things of that nature, about what it is. They always show, the people living in huts and having to travel 30 miles to like go get water every day and things of that nature. And so it's always interesting to me to see how vibrant these cities are that they have, because Africa is such a huge continent. But they always on the television they always show just kind of like the emaciated looking people, or people that don't have a lot of money, or people that are struggling. And so I always find it kind of refreshing to see a documentary that just shows Africa in a different light, because I've never been to Africa, so I've never actually got to experience that culture and that heritage myself. So I just like that it chronicled that and showed that as well. So
yeah, like one of the interview subjects said, even like people go there and they think they're going to see elephants or something, but it's not like that everywhere.
No, definitely not. It's very interesting in that aspect that, like I said, that there's giant buildings, there's huge cities, there's all kinds of different modes of transportation with buses and cars and motorcycles and things of that nature. But it's just like one of those things that they don't show and they don't chronicle very often. So I thought it was refreshing, and I like to see these types of documentaries. Where they show and they highlight these sorts of things. We will be interviewing the director. Looks like she might have just cut out here for a second, so I'm kind of waiting for her to come back in, and then we'll bring her in and we can kind of talk with her and kind of get some information about some of her inspiration about the documentary as well. Obviously, while we are waiting for her, in terms of it wasn't a very long running time. I think it was only about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little longer than that. How long was it? I can't remember.
Like 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes. I think 37, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I really enjoyed about it was that it within 30 minutes, there was a lot of interviews. So there was a lot of different people that they spoke about, that they were able to talk to, and you really kind of got a real sense of exactly what the culture was about that city. The only thing that I probably maybe wanted to see a little bit more of is they did a lot of interviews. So it would have been really, really nice to also see maybe just a little bit more cutaways from the interview and kind of show you a little bit more about the culture and that sort of stuff as well. I think that would have made it, brought a little bit more of a sense of what it's like to live there, kind of thing. So because they talked about a lot of things, and I wasn't able to fully grasp or understand exactly, some of the things that they were talking about, and some of the the food and cultures and stuff like that. I think it would have been really cool to see kind of like the pairing, like as they're talking like about the different dishes and cuisines that they eat there, maybe kind of like a cutaway to some of those dishes and cuisines, you know what I mean? I think that would have been great as well.
Yeah. Or more about the history of it, I suppose. But, I'm sure that she may have not had the opportunity to go into all of that, so. But
yeah. No, I agree 100%. I know sometimes that makes it a little difficult, or maybe just a little bit challenging to kind of go into all of the different aspects of it. So I understand and definitely get that as well. But I did like that it did have a lot of different interviews. So I also did enjoy that you were able to kind of get a real sense of the people that were really proud and passionate about it. And there were other people that kind of seemed like they weren't maybe as proud or passionate about it, and it probably just depending on how they grew up there and their way of life. Because it seemed like a few of the people that they interviewed maybe either don't live there anymore or moved away or something of that nature. And so some of them were like, well, it could be rough here, it could be challenging here if you come here. And then others were like, oh, you're going to love it. You interact with people and interact with the culture and all that good stuff. So it was kind of interesting from that standpoint as well. So, well, cool. Well, I say without further ado, we just go ahead and bring in the director, and her name is Doyen Sola. So I'm going to bring her in real quick. So go ahead and bring her in. It may take a second or two to bring her in. And then there she is. Hey.
Hi, guys. Finally.
Yeah.
We were so hard getting here.
It's all right. I know there's always some technical issues and that sort of stuff. But so we were, like I said, I know you didn't catch some of the interview portion of it, but we were just kind of going over kind of the style of the documentary and the interviews and that sort of stuff. And so I did have a couple quick questions for you just in regards to the film itself. So are you from Lagos directly then, or?
Yes, I am. I'm from Lagos. Yes.
Lagos. Okay, perfect. Okay, and did you grew up there and then you moved to, because you're in Canada now, right?
Correct. I was born and brought up in Lagos, and then I moved to Canada for film school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been living in Canada?
It feels like it's been forever, but I've just been here for 3 years actually.
Oh, well, 3 years, that's enough time to get acclimated to the city.
That's so true. You can call me like a Canadian at this point.
And so, I mean, obviously you're from Nigeria, so I guess going into kind of the inspiration for wanting to make this film. So what was your inspiration?
To be honest, the inspiration from this film actually started from film school. So I remember the first day of class, they typically ask, what's your name, where you from? And anyone that grew up in Lagos is very proud of the fact that people know the city, especially like you might not know countries in Africa, or you might not know places in Nigeria, but you're going to know Lagos. So when I introduced myself, I said it with so much pride that I'm from Lagos. And then someone was like, oh, where is Lagos? And I was like, I kind of took offense at first. And then I realized that, okay, I'm in a different country. So it's fine for people not to know Lagos. And then I would just say that was kind of what just drew me to the attention of the fact that I might come from a city that is well known to my people, but not necessarily the rest of the world. So that's kind of what made me want to make a documentary about Lagos, more or less.
Makes sense. Yeah, because I did remember, I think the doc said it was like one of the, or maybe I looked online, it was like one of the fourth largest cities in that region. So it is a very, very big city, but honestly, to be honest, I had never heard of it, and I don't think Jason had either. So it was, like I said, it was really informative for us as well. And
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it was.
I'm always interested and fascinated with different cultures and ways of life and that sort of thing. So, and like I said, previously when we were talking about the film. For us, here in the States, our depiction of most of Africa comes from films and biographies in terms of, but it always shows it kind of in a either very poverty stricken or either like war torn places. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And
Yes.
that's pretty much the depiction that we get a lot of times here in the States. So it was interesting to see like the beautiful beaches and landscape and that
Yes.
sort of stuff. So
Yeah. And those were one of the things that also inspired me. I wanted to make a documentary about Lagos that wasn't like the remaining ones. Like I did a few researches just to see what was out there and to see like the information that is being consumed. And I knew for sure I wanted to portray Lagos just like the way I saw it, or just like the way I grew up looking at Lagos. Like I wouldn't say I'm from like the richest of backgrounds, but we're quite comfortable. And I remember like growing up in Lagos, I had like a lot of things that are also here in the Western world. And I wanted to just show like the different ways that you can grow up in Lagos, either from like a very affluent background, a middle class background, or a low class background. Because no matter your class structure, more or less, everyone still has like a very similar story about their growing up. I'm sure in the United States, like someone that comes from like the Rockefellers, for example, and like someone that is in the south side of Chicago can still relate to one or two things that they can just, that makes them American in the essence of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other city that I've seen, in terms of you like you said, based on class structure and that sort of stuff, and that's even here prevalent. Whatever, we're in Sacramento, California, and we have our affluent areas, we have our areas that are regarded to be a little bit more crime and that sort of stuff heavy and that sort of thing. So there's always that contrast in every city. But it was good that the documentary was able to kind of show the, like I said, the beautiful landscape, and then the city portion, and then also did chronicle some of the more not as influent, maybe the slums, if you will, or whatever case may be. So it was all kind of represented in the film.
Yes, that's so correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jason, I know you always have a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah. I was curious. How did you find the interview subjects?
Oh, yes. So I went on an emailing streak because I was in Canada when I started the development process of the documentary. And I wanted certain things to show in the documentary. I wanted to show someone that was somewhat of a celebrity status. I wanted like your everyday person that I, watching the documentary, could relate to. And I wanted people that just basically had the hustle spirit and had the hustle story. Because Lagos is that one place that in Nigeria is believed that if you're in search of a better life, you come to Lagos, you go find the greener pasture in Lagos. Right now, it's like, okay, you can come abroad. But for some people that could not really afford to go abroad, Lagos was the next best thing to go to and go find like the greener pasture. So I created like a character Bible that I wanted some of the characters to kind of embody. And then I started the emailing journey. I started emailing a bunch of people. But the issue with me emailing them was because of it was over the internet. A few people were quite skeptical about agreeing to come on board because they were not really sure if it was like a real thing or if it was a scam or any of those things. But what majorly made me find my character was the character Bible I built. I knew I wanted someone with a hustle spirit, someone that came to search for a better life in Lagos, just like a rich kid, more or less. So I created those particular characters and how I wanted them to look like. And then I went to search with the help of social media, my own knowledge, and also referrals from like other friends in the Nigerian industry that could help me like find characters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because you could kind of see that from the different backgrounds that were in the interview. There's like one guy, he looked like in a recording studio or something of that nature.
Yeah.
All this like high-end, expensive recording equipment behind him. And, so you can tell that this guy probably. Yeah. So this guy probably had a little bit more in the music industry or something of that nature. You can tell he was probably a little bit more fluent, and so it was good that you kind of get that contrast because I got to imagine like in the other city, people grew up in different perspectives. You ask somebody, that grew up maybe poor, they're going to have a different perspective of the city versus somebody that maybe grew up middle class, and then somebody that grew up maybe more upper class. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, everybody gets stuck in the traffic though, no matter where they're from. So
Yeah.
No matter what you're going with, the only way you cannot get stuck in traffic in Lagos is if you're going with a private jet or a helicopter. But
Right.
either way, you're in a vehicle that has to be stuck in traffic.
right.
Definitely. What were some of the challenges that you faced other than getting the people to make the documentary?
A few of the challenges I actually faced while shooting was the electricity problem. So, if you remember the documentary, there was a part where we shot in a studio where I wanted the
Mhm.
backdrop. So, those were the things we shot first before going on to go get the B-roll. So, I remember when we rented out the studio, I made a budget for a generator, which is like a backup power when the electricity goes out. And I
Mhm.
remember like I spent my entire budget on the electricity just the first day, and I freaked out because I was like, that was the entire money we're supposed to use to get diesel for the generator, and we spent it on just the first day because there was no electricity. So the electricity was a major problem. And then another problem was getting B-rolls. So when you film in some parts of Lagos, especially, there's a problem of touts. So they're like I don't know how to describe it, but basically they just roam around the streets, and technically they own the streets. So I couldn't just bring out a camera and be like, I want to film this. I had like
Mhm.
a huge issue trying to film a certain bureau in a marketplace because they all came all around, and because we're just a bunch of like young kids trying to like film, and then we had to like try to pay them, and then we paid one person, then a different group came. So it was just the irregularity of the filming in Nigeria that was my major problem. And aside that, the traffic also was a huge deal. We had to like
Mhm.
go from location to location. So a 12-hour day shoot wasn't necessarily a 12-hour day shoot because we could spend like 4 hours in traffic, leaving like about 8 hours left for us to actually film. So those were like some of the problems that I encountered while filming.
Okay.
What is the cause of the traffic? Is it just not enough lanes, or is it accidents, or too many
I
cars?
think it's the population. I think it's the
Yeah.
population one, and I think the bad roads. So because half of the time, the major and the most annoying thing in Lagos is you get to the front of the traffic and you absolutely see nothing. Like all the
Mm.
cars are going like we're all not just in a gridlock a few hours ago. You just get there and there's absolutely no problem. So from my own experience, I'm guessing it's like the bad road, and then just like people don't drive in a very orderly fashion. No one respects the traffic lights. Everyone
Got
just
it.
goes. So everyone just drives on their own pace. So I'm guessing that's one of the major reasons. But to be honest, I think we need to have like a proper research to find out like what causes
What's
Lagos
going on?
traffic.
Yeah.
That should be a
Uh,
documentary on its own.
yeah. I mean, if it's overpopulated, that could explain a lot. Because even like Los Angeles, a lot of times there's not an accident or anything like that. But when you're driving through, it's just bumper to bumper for hours for no reason,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you just
yeah.
don't know why. But it's just when you've got millions of people on the road, it's kind of hard to navigate that. Everybody trying to get to the same place at the same time. So yeah. Yeah, very interesting. So you had a film crew with you then? Is that correct? Or
Yeah, so I was the only one that came from Canada. I had to outsource to get film crew back in Nigeria because it was just cheaper for me to work with people that were back in Nigeria. They knew better because I'd been out of the country for about 2 years, so I didn't really know how the film industry worked anymore in that country. And then it also made me learn a lot of things by working with people from the country because they knew how to navigate, for example, the electricity problem and the traffic, and also speaking to like the touts that we encountered. So I majorly knew I wanted to get the crew from Nigeria.
Mhm,
Yeah.
definitely. Do you have any other questions, Jason?
Oh, I was just gonna say I really appreciate this because like Kiera mentioned, like I had heard of Lagos, but I couldn't have pointed to it on a map. But now I feel
Yeah.
like I can, and I
Oh,
know about the traffic, and I know about
yeah.
the mainland versus the island,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I want to try some of that food too.
Oh,
I
you
want to try,
should. You should
yeah,
absolutely. And I heard earlier when you referenced the lack of the bureau for the food, that was another stressful thing because
oh,
getting the food in Nigeria, getting a way to picture the food in Nigeria is quite stressful. It's like a
Mm,
long process, and then getting the final product. So it was just a lot of irregularity in trying to get the B-roll that I just like decided to go with a stylish way of talking about the food, which was
Got it.
like the boom 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 effect where everyone was like, this was my favorite, this was my favorite.
Got
But I'm
it.
so happy that you feel like you know Lagos, because my editor actually is from Dubai, and by the end of the film he was already in Lagosian. He was already a Nigerian because he was able to understand like what it means to be a Nigerian. So I'm glad that by watching the film, you kind of get your Lagosian card
Oh yeah,
just by
Oh.
watching the film.
yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. In a 30 some odd minute documentary, we able to. I think we got a really good understanding of, like you said, the mainland versus the island, the different
Yeah.
cultures, the different classes they have there, the problems with the electricity and that sort of thing. And so, we were able to get a lot of insight into what the culture was about. Obviously.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to give you the full experience other than actually going and being there. But, we were able to get a really good understanding of what it was all about. So, no, it's great filmmaking for sure. So,
Oh, thank you so much.
yeah. And I know so you said you're in film school. So was this your first project that you've done, or
So
have you done
it
other
was
projects?
it was my first film after film school. So I knew after film school I wanted to have something to show, like, okay, I went to film school, I'm now a filmmaker. This is what I have to do. This is what I have done, rather. So it was basically what I did right off the back, finishing from film school. But ever since then, I've been able to work on some other projects and worked with people in the industry, and also like just learned more things based on like what I did and what I've been doing since then.
Perfect. Oh, great. Well, what I guess are you now that you're out of film school now? You've already graduated from film school.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
whatever projects are you looking to work on in the future then?
In the future, I'm kind of seeing if there's a hope of telling more African stories, because I am of the belief that I can only tell stories I know. And I kind of feel there's like a huge gap in telling African stories. So I'm going to look into telling Afrofusion stories. So I can no longer say like I'm an African, because I am not just that. I'm an African in Canada. So I should be able to tell a different type of story from a Canadian or from an African. So I am basically just looking for a way to make the best of both worlds and just telling stories that not only Africans can relate to, or Canadians or Americans can relate to, but the entire world. I feel like there's still some sort of connection in the world, regardless of our background. We are all still connected in one way. So I'm looking at telling stories that are like that.
Absolutely. No, I think that's great. I think that's fascinating. Definitely. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Jason?
Oh, I want to try some. I think it's amala.
Amala, yeah.
Amala.
Yeah, that's so good.
Everybody. It
and
seems
it's
like
a
that was
trend on
everybody's favorite
TikTok
thing.
now.
Yeah.
It's a trend on TikTok now.
Oh, really?
It's a trend, to try like fufu and egusi soup. A lot of people have been trying it for some reason on TikTok, and it suddenly just became a trend, trying Nigerian food. So you should actually absolutely look around. Like Google Maps could refer you to some Nigerian restaurants, and you could just maybe find something that you'd like in the menu.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few even here in Sacramento. Sacramento is a really diverse city, so we have a lot of. There's a lot of Nigerian food, Ethiopian food. There's a lot of different cultural foods that are in the area as well. So
great.
Yeah, so definitely be interesting to do a little research and try some of the different cuisines. That'd be awesome. So
that's so great.
Cool. Well, was there anything that you wanted to add?
I absolutely just wanted to thank you for bringing me on this platform, and you guys were such an amazing host. I can't wait to hear the podcast and listen to some other people's stories. And I'm so glad you loved the documentary and you learned something from the documentary, especially learning something from Lagos. It's like a huge deal. So thank you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Not a problem. We thank you for joining us today for the interview. Like I said, it was definitely a very interesting film. So like I said, if you're watching this and you get a chance, definitely go to FlickFair.com. Make sure you check out Shades of Lagos. And it's a really, really fascinating film, and it gives you a really good insight into what the culture and what the city is all about. So
yes.
Well,
and do you mind if I take a screenshot for my social media?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
All right. Okay. So I'm just going to pull down the chart. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. That's perfect.
Perfect. Absolutely. Well, hang out Yeah, we hope you feel better. Hang out for just a minute. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, but hang out for just a minute. So I'll bring you back down, but just hang with us for just a minute. But we definitely thank you for joining us, and we definitely look forward to some future projects from you in the future. And as always, whenever you do the next film, be sure to go ahead and email us or send it our way. Post it up on FlickFair, and we'll definitely take a look at that one as well. Maybe we'll have you back on the show again.
All right. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, that's great. Well, as always, if you like the channel, we always ask that you like and subscribe to SacTown Movie Buffs. As always, make sure you go ahead and visit FlickFair and check out their films. They've got a lot of great films on their streaming platform, so you definitely want to check those out. There's other films. Obviously, this was a good documentary. We've seen a few other great films on there as well. We thank you guys all for watching. We hope that you join us again soon, and we'll be back with another show for you guys again real soon as well. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a great day. Bye.